Welcome to Season 3 of the Strange, Rare, and Peculiar podcast, a place where we explore the past, present, and future of homeopathy from the perspective of a couple of insiders who have been around the homeo block a couple of times.
Homeo block?
Early enrollment is underway at the Academy of Homeopathy Education. AHE is the first and only program in the U.S. to offer a full-time pathway. Enroll for fall 2025 by April 30th and save up to $500 on tuition. Contact admissions today at ahe.online.
It's one of those podcasts where there's a third voice.
Yay!
It's a big treat. We've got the one, the only, the lovely Em Colley here. Yay!
Oh, hi.
Thank you for
Great to be
being
here.
Oh my
Great.
goodness.
I got a question straight out of the gate.
Oh, good.
Oh my God.
What's the map?
What's a
On the
map?
Behind you.
Map. That could be such a big question. This is a map of Yorkshire, of our
Really?
area. Yeah, we're in, it's just the Yorkshire Dales sort of area. So
Got it. I'm looking at that map and I'm going, all right, that's a coastline. I'm going, could be South California, could be Mexico.
It's just the Yorkshire Dales.
Yorkshire?
Yeah, no coastline around here. We've got a trek to get to any sea.
So whereabouts, tell us about, you and your position. Yorkshire, north of England, beside Lancashire, south of Scotland. What's Yorkshire famous for other than trumpets and cricket?
Yorkshire, God's own country is Yorkshire, according to the locals.
It is.
Yeah, so I'm just outside a little town called Skipton, which is got the tagline "Gateway to the Dales." So you're sort of out of there and into the hills and the moors. We've got Bronte country, so Brontes lived about 10 miles away. So yeah, just Heathcliff and all of the crazy big wild spaces. So yeah, I'm very blessed. And I had a trip into the big city yesterday to go to the theatre. So, we get a little bit of both. It's about an hour's trip to civilization, but we can do it.
And the big city is? Leeds?
Oh, we went to Leeds, yeah.
Okay, got it. There you go. Wow. So, folks, you got yourself a little geography lesson there as well.
Yes. But in addition to geography, we've got some homeopathy to talk about, and I'm just thrilled because you make me smile. You are just one of the most joyful creatures, and seeing you dance is that's one of the happiest things I've ever seen. The joy you bring to the dance floor, and I assume you bring that to your homeopathy because I see it in everything that you do, and I just love that about you. So I was super excited that we get to have you on, that you are going to be part of our book club series. And just a way for folks in our community and the folks that listen to our podcast to get to know a little bit about you and about your book. Oh my gosh, I just love it. So would you just talk a little bit about the inspiration for your book? And I mean, the title does not surprise me at all. Just not even just knowing you, but watching you. But would you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's just beautiful, the joy part of it all.
Yes, I had no plan to write a book, but I had no plan to do so many things in my life that I love doing. So I knew I was never going to teach anything because my parents are both teachers. So I was resolutely never going to teach. And now I absolutely love teaching homeopathy, which is very different to teaching 35-year-olds. Has to be said. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, totally not the kind of teaching that my mum did for years and years. The inspiration behind my book, I think it was one particular case that I was massively saddened by in terms of the situation she had ended up in. She was really incapable of doing a lot of things that she'd done previously. And she was really told there wasn't any options for her in terms of conventional, the world conventionally. She was told she could possibly have a medication. Well, she could have a medication, but it may put her into a vegetative state. And it's not a brilliant option really there. She was considering it because the symptoms were so severe. She was waking every day with seizures. Would take almost an hour to walk down a flight of stairs. It was a pretty horrendous place to be in as the mum of 2 young children.
Oh, wow.
Pretty awful. And so we met, and we met via Zoom because traveling was a nightmare for her. She was only kind of not so far from here. And I met her after a month, and she was no longer waking with seizures, and she was no longer taking an hour to walk down a flight of stairs. She was just walking down the stairs like so many of us take for granted. You know, I forget how gifted we are to just walk foot after foot down a flight of stairs. It's a real privilege. And so I started writing. So I thought I'll write this up as a blog for my website because people need to know about the potential of homeopathy out there. I've really loved sharing stories about homeopathy for quite some time. I used to share little things on social media or make little videos about people's stories. For me, stories is so exciting. I think the research is just brilliant, but I connect with people via stories. So in terms of us sharing what we can do, I think stories just hit the spot for me. So I wrote that up as a blog, and then I don't really know what the catalyst was, but I just kept writing. And I think I get cross about something else. Someone else has told, just you're never going to get better. You're never going to smell again. One of the people in the book was told, and then she's able to smell. It's just like there's such magic is a word that's not always loved in our community, but there is such magic in seeing people go on their healing journeys and seeing the beauty of that unfold. And so the book was really, really an offering to the world. That just came about, and as these things do, one thing led to another. So I was on a dog walk with a good friend, and I'm like, I think I've written a book, and little did I know, so no idea what lay ahead of me. And she says, "Oh, my friend's going into publishing. I'll connect you if you like." And so it was one of those that I really had no idea what I was doing, and then the next step would come clear, and then I would take it with no idea where the next one was going to be. And then the next one came clear again. So it felt like an incredibly guided project. It feels like there is such joy in witnessing people's stories and people's reconnection to themselves almost through this process of this tiny, incredible medicine that we get to work with. I mean, tiny in terms of the pills, massive in terms of the potential. So I don't know if I answered your question. I've done a whole waffle around the book there. But I think it was around the joy of recovery as much as, and the getting so cross about the lack of options that sort of inspired me and fired me on to write.
Oh my God. There's so many things I want to talk with you about there. The one thing that just really hit hard was the part about the stories. Because I think for so many of us, it's like, you don't realize what a blessing it's going to be to sit in the chair and to receive people's stories and in some ways to become the keeper of their sort of narrative and their history, since we've all been in this a long time, you've got people and their kids or their grandkids, and you've got generations of sort of family history, and all around the healing part is also just the story, the narrative, and learning about life. And it gives back to us so much, doesn't it? Like just being with it.
It's interesting from my point of view because I often could be accused accurately of getting a little caught up in the research end of things because, the story, it's awesome for us and it changes us. We hear, client stories, patient stories, and our hearts open. And that's the reality of it. And then we're also existing in a broader reality. And so what changes other people's minds and what doesn't change a scientist's mind is a story. And so the research is important in there, but I really understand the limitations of the flatter, more boring research stuff.
I think it's so gorgeous that both can exist at the same time, isn't it? Because we definitely, need that research and need to be taken seriously in this world. And also in terms of us reaching patients with that potential of what might help them, hearing someone's story about a headache and hearing someone's recovery process from a lifetime of whatever it may be, that we get so privileged to work alongside. I think those two things in parallel. I guess it's almost like the kind of qualitative and quantitative working hand in hand in its own way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It really is. Because I think for right now in the world, I think there are a lot of people who don't have a lot of hope, right? It's like things are scary. Just when we got on and we were just chatting before we started, it's like, oh my gosh, how many things are happening in the world? And there's something about working with medicine that it operates according to the laws of the universe that feels really comforting. It's like at least we know homeopathy it will always be there as an option. Um, but while we're talking about the story, one of the things that I was thinking about as you were talking about sort of the experience in getting to the book, I was thinking about how as practitioners, so we have the things that we love about our work, and we all come at it from different angles and everything, but the work also adapts to who we are, right? And so um, being a homeopath and raising kids is its own sort of animal, isn't it? Like our practice is shaped by what we need and everything. Do you want to talk just a little bit about sort of being a practitioner, being a mom, and sort of the flexibility, like I think a lot of us in homeopathy, we might take for granted how the job kind of fits itself around us and our lives, and we all do it so differently, right? How was that for you in your life?
Yeah, so my my daughter and my practice are the same age. So I was my daughter was 6 months old when I graduated as a homeopath, so she used to come into college with me. Yeah, I had incredible support. My parents would bring her and take her off as well, so I could actually concentrate in between breastfeeding sessions and studying and the rest of it. So we've really woven through each other's paths. So a lot of my practice timings fit around, so the flexibility is just incredible. I can't imagine asking anyone for time off. Like I don't want to be asking a boss, can I please take some? No, I'm just so beyond that now, but I'm so privileged to be in that space. So we were just talking before we started the recording. We've just had changes. So my daughter's come out of college a little bit early. She's recognised they weren't teaching her what she wanted to know. So totally supportive of that, and she's doing some learning online, working with other people, and working on her craft herself to set up as a photographer. But that means that she was in college those days, so my practice was kind of front loaded in the week, and now she's at home much more. So I'm kind of like, love, what do you need? What support do you need? What do you need me to be around with? Because these days, when I was working from say 8 till 5 with not a bit of lunch break, it's not enabling me to be around for her. So it's had a new change. I've got sort of a 2-hour lunch space now, which means we can go out for a long walk with the dogs. I can be around for her. We can do some of her stuff and then get back onto it. So that freedom and flexibility to be able to adapt and shift change and make it work for both of us as a family unit is quite a remarkable thing to have. It's a real gift. So yeah, and I might work early. A couple of days this week I've done sessions at 6 a.m. I'm an early bird, so I don't want to work after 8 o'clock, but 8 p.m. But early I can do really happily with, and she's doing her teen sleeping. So again, that fits in really, really beautifully around what's needed there. So yeah, the flexibility is really remarkable. And I guess a lot of your students, I see your amazing social media posts and the resharing of sort of student lifestyles and fitting around, to be able to create that and make what you want your life to look like is a real incredible freedom and a gift.
Do you think there's another job like it? Is there something else that you could do that has that flexibility?
Well, not for me. There's nothing else I'm going out there to do. The diversity as well within it. So, I like whereas with you guys, you've got your research programs, you've got your teaching, you've got your clinics. I teach, I work with supervision, and I have my practice. Obviously the book's a little bit of woven into there as well. So that diversity and constant, and no day's ever the same anyway. Even if you're sat with the same client at the same time, it's a whole different session. So that, yeah, I don't think anything else could provide that for me right now. But maybe other people would argue a different point. So,
I
yeah.
can't imagine doing anything else. There's nothing like it. But one of the things I wondered, because I find that when my kids were little, because it was similar for me. My kids were sort of, their practice. They were born at the time that I was, beginning, and I saw so many little kids then. And then it was like seeing school age kids, and then it was, seeing lots of teenagers, and now it's a real mix now that they're all grown up. But but it really did
I
influence.
just get to see grumpy old men.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. Back to you.
Wait, but tell Em the story about the kid with the pen. Why you're not allowed to see children in.
Oh, so I used to fly from Sydney to Auckland to teach there. And there was a school that had 3 locations in it. I don't know, 3 weekends out of 4. I was in New Zealand, but living in Australia. And so it's clinic day, Friday in Auckland, beautiful day, spring day. Client walks in and everyone's in the next room back in the day before Zoom. And I'm in the room with the client who's this delightful mother. And she's a new mum. And she's just talking about feeling a little bit tired and heading back to work. And the kid is 7 months old. And so there's a 7-month-old crawling around on the floor and sitting there. And I was demonstrating best practice. And the kid was on the floor at one stage. And I thought, oh, okay, so I'll teach the students how to deal with the kid. And so I picked it up and I looked at it and turned it around and then showed, oh, look at mum. There's mum there. And then I'm bouncing this kid on my knee. And she said, you might not want to do that because you might get a nice, vomit stream. And then I put the kid back down on the floor and the kid was pulling on my trouser leg or something like that. So I just gave the child the nearest thing, which was my pen. and then it disappeared.
Oh my God.
And the mother was unbelievable. Anyway, so there's a very long story short. I'm so sorry.
So restricted to the grumpy old men category now.
Right.
Not even mothers in that space.
No, I've still got it with the older ladies as well.
That you do. Yeah.
Yeah, the 70-year-olds, they like me a lot.
Mm-hmm. You're big in the retirement community.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Oh, this is not about me. It's about Em. Come on, back to Em.
Okay, but just putting it into context and perspective, it's one of my favorite stories of. But
what you're saying is actually something else that I really appreciate, and that is that I recognize that at different phases of my own development, I would attract a certain slice of folks, from the anxiety, freak out, panic attack people to the models with legs up to their armpits and musicians and flight attendants. And I used to get these runs, like I was at one point seeing 2 or 3 flight attendants a day. It obviously gone around the community.
Outside of an airplane.
Yeah, it was in my office.
Be clear, right?
Just leaving those business cards on all the chairs in the plane makes such a difference.
That's funny.
Marketing
Anyway.
wherever you go. Yeah.
Oh.
So I made a special top for you guys when I remember, it was like, I'm meeting Denise and Elle today, so I'm going to wear this top that my sister-in-law made me for my my Christmas present. So here we go. There we go.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
Oh.
So if you're listening to this and you don't have the visual, it says homeopathy rocks. And
is that a reference to calcarb or to, Hecla lava?
Granite, gemstones.
Should it say Mineral Kingdom or something?
Hashtag, yeah. I love a double reference.
We've had fun with our swag department over the years. Just, I think one of the least effective selling T-shirts, poorest selling T-shirts, was one of my designs, which said, "I've got 682 problems and education and homeopathy solved." 681 of them. It's like no one bought that one.
Oh.
It was a little verbose. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a proud owner of one of your bags, so I am very content with that.
That's one of my favorites. That's a farmer's market bag for me. That I like big books, and I cannot lie.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I have to admit,
And I do like big books, and I cannot lie. Will not lie. Yeah.
What's not to like? Do you have like a favorite thing that you're into in homeopathy? Like, is there something that's really driving your interest? Is there a particular type of practice or research or materia medica? Like, is there something that you are finding to be inspiring these days?
I don't know. I get somebody asked me the other day, what's your favorite remedy? And I'm like, well, the remedy the person in front of me needs at that point in time is just such a beautiful thing. I really, really love teaching the lanthanides and radioactives. I feel like they're not represented enough yet in our repertories, and finding materia medica isn't always easy. And I've got some beautiful lanthanide and radioactive cases. The book actually starts with a gadolinium case of a little boy who just did amazing work for. So those are definitely areas that I really enjoy teaching, enjoy sharing, enjoy seeing cases that do really well with those remedies. And other than that, I think the gift is, I wasn't going to say I'm not quite bored easily, but I think the gift is we're always being directed where we need to go, aren't we? So this week I've had 3 new books arrive because I'm like, okay, so I need to know about fire because I haven't got a reference and I can't find enough about Ignis as a remedy. So I'm like, I need to dive into Noel Ising's Provings book. So, and then I can't think what else. Isaac Golden's book arrived last week, and so it's really just feel like we're kind of guided often. Like really, what's coming up? Where do we need to go? So that teaching and learning is so beautiful in those areas. I remember Jonathan Hardy ages ago saying something about, dive into a longer course. Don't think you've got to go to conferences for all your learning. So that kind of diving into longer courses, I think is a good tip that he gave. I also love conferences because, dear God, I love the dancing and the connections. And also sometimes, there's also brilliant speakers like Denise and Alastair. So, just a little conference up the road in Edinburgh. So.
Wasn't that amazing?
A lot excites me.
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite conference ever, honestly.
Ever.
What was it about that we're speaking of the Faculty of Homeopathy's 100th conference in Edinburgh back in November. That I literally could not believe it. I'm a little jaded, I have to acknowledge. Maybe slightly cynical every now and again. I don't like to be, but I'm just, I'll call it. But that conference, I don't know, it was magical, every part of it. Oh, what do you think made it? Is there anything about it that really struck you? Like the weather, the snow.
The weather was pretty cool, wasn't it? So like freaky big snowstorms, and it's pretty amazing. It was pretty. I think the faculty puts on a good conference. I've been to previous faculty conferences, to their congresses, and they're definitely worth hopping on a plane for. So
they got the 3 rules of having a good party correct.
What's that?
Contain the space, like cram people in. Have good music, and whatever the third one is, I can't remember. And have good gluten-free fish and chips over the road.
Nice.
That was the best gluten-free fish and chips I've ever had. But the dancing, you have you've got a bit of experience in the Keeley dancing, no? Did I say it correctly? Kaylee?
You did, yeah, Kaylee, yeah.
Keeley dancing.
Yeah. And the thing I love about Kaylee, or any kind of dance, I guess I was quite shy when I was growing up, and now I feel like I've let go of a lot of that and just, let's just be me, and let's whatever. The people that love you will be there, and the ones that don't will fall away, and those goes.
There was a group of people pointing and going, "Who's that? Who's that?"
No, that is
I love moving and dancing, and I gave up drinking years ago, and so there's no drinking involved in that space. It's just very let's just be expressive with the space. But yeah, Kaylee's, I really love the music. There's something remarkable about, it's something really raw about that, and kind of I love it. So I've organised a Kaylee here in my little village every Christmas. I've given up this year. My daughter's 18, she's taking over from me, so she's involved in organising it.
Does it have anything to do with the good-looking violinists and the drummers and the fact that you can see their knees? Is it anything to do with that?
We have a very different age group of band.
Oh.
Very skilled musicians, but you know, if you're looking for eye candy, Scotland had it. Yeah, they were amazing. They were my second favourite Kaylee band, because I really have this loyalty to this band I book each year. But they were on a par in a very different way, but just totally brilliant. Yeah, really, really amazing. And I just nothing quite like seeing a whole group of some of the most intelligent people probably in my life totally pissed, trying to do something like that for the first time. Like, what an incredible.
Actually, and Jeff, we were also, Denise and I, every now and again just go, and Jeff Johnson. Jeff Johnson, yeah. Folks, if you don't know, he's a pretty big ex-rugby player from Somerset. And like running into him on the dance floor.
Oh my God.
Wow.
He's 6'5", right? I mean,
yeah, four or five, maybe.
Tall guy. If you've not met him and you do meet him, go in for a Jeff hug, because he gives some of the best in the world.
The best, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a Cambridge-trained vet turned total skeptic around homeopathy, that tells his story of encountering, going away to a festival, not having his antihistamines, and someone saying that the homeopath at the tent just down there, and him, it was you.
No, he stole my story. Okay. This is my story, and I've hered the video. I watched him on video.
You tell the story.
This is my story. He stole it.
Both have the same story. It's totally fair.
No. You keep going, because you've got the vet, that's the festivals and all of that.
Yeah, got the guest status as well, but I can give you the story back. Anyway, apparently he was told this euphrasia tablet would help him, and he's like, yeah, just one tablet, what's that? And she's going, you might be a trained vet, I'm a trained homeopath, and take this, and says he just did brilliantly with it, and totally opened his mind to the potential of what's out there. So yeah, I had a really interesting chat with him not so long ago. It's like, because I choose not to eat animals. I'm non-judgmental about other people and their dietary choices, but I'm like, Jeff, how come all these vets are like, helping animals, healing animals, and eating animals at the same time? I'm like, there's a disconnect in my mind. So he's like, we were never taught anything about animals having emotions, or animals having, feeling. We were crammed with information for that 5 years. You almost couldn't think. So there's no wonder you can't think maybe something else could cure something, because you're just being told all of this stuff to remember and use and go and do. So in terms of kind of critical thinking, or like outside the box thinking, I think there's no space for that almost within that training. So no wonder people come out going, yeah, there's nothing else can work. This is all that can work, and having that degree of skepticism. But thank goodness Jeff listened to that and had that experience, because he's a remarkable teacher, homeopath, human being, all the rest. And yeah, we could have never known him in that remit. But yeah, just a gift of a man. And amazing on the dance floor, my goodness.
Amazing on the dance floor, yeah.
And I genuinely, I know we keep talking about dance, but I generally feel that is, in terms of conferences, there's so many great connections happen in that space. So the knowledge and the learning is really brilliant and worth listening to and going along for. But actually the connections between people that will last for so long, there's something really special and sacred in that energy and space. That's we need more of that.
We're having a gala here. We're having an in-person seminar and gala in June. It's our 10th anniversary of our foundation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. 10 years is amazing.
I know. I can't even believe it. So as a part of that, we're having this celebration, the fundraiser gala and everything. And then and then a dance party at our house after. So if you feel like getting on a plane
Well, you know, I could be tempted.
to America, oh my
Ooh,
goodness. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited about that part of it. But it is, you're right, the getting together in person, it's like with Zoom, it's nice because the accessibility of education, it's really important. Like when we had the school in New York, people were commuting from all over, and it meant that you either came to school because you had the money and the means to do it, or you lived near to a school, but otherwise it was such a hardship. So it's really nice to be able to, I don't know, have that egalitarian, availability of education.
Mhm.
But the in-person, I don't know. I like when we get to do it. It's really fun. Do you see?
Definitely that balance, isn't it? Zoom is just remarkable. I think you were about to say, do you see patients doing both?
Yes.
I see 8.8% of my patients in person. In terms of this last this current stretch of what I'm doing, patient wise, so I was really curious. I think it's between 5 and 10% I see in person. So I did the maths on it, and yeah, 8.8% of patients in person, and the rest on Zoom. So which allows so much flexibility. And sometimes people Zoom from my village, which is kind of crazy, but but it's also an option if they want to do that. Then I'm open to that space, which means for people with babies, or with life circumstances that mean it's harder to come out and do. There's so much more freedom and scope. But seeing someone in the same room is a special thing too. So.
Yeah.
Um,
You ever make house calls? I used to do a lot of house calls.
I
And
do, not often, but I do. I did one last week for my oldest client. Who's just gone 89. So yeah, I went to see her last week.
yeah,
But yeah, so occasionally, not a lot. Yeah.
yeah, I don't. Now I don't. When we lived in Brooklyn, I used to ride my bike because we lived in the same neighborhood adjacent to this group of clients that I had. And they were all Orthodox Jewish folks. So they had big families, or most of them had big families. And so I would go and like spend a whole day and just be at one person's house, and everybody would come through and they'd bring me coffee or whatever. It was so nice. And now I feel like I could never not work with those families because I feel so connected in that way.
Mhm.
Really
So you're in
lovely.
Philadelphia now, is that?
Yeah. We moved here January 2018, so just over 7 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is really nice. Yeah, we're 3 miles from the archives,
Oh
where
wow.
all of Herring's things are, and that part's pretty cool.
Gosh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah, so great for research if anyone was doing a PhD on the topic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was
Did you
totally
move because of that? I'm curious now.
No, but it's funny because the woman who is the archivist, we knew each other through our nannies. So we met in, gosh, so Sam's 20, he'll be 29, so 28 years ago. Our nannies were best friends, and guess where they were from? Both of them. They were au pairs. They were from Leipzig, both of
Okay, wow, my
them.
goodness.
And so when
There's
Margaret,
that magic. It's just crazy.
right? It's totally
Yeah.
crazy. And so when the other mom and I met, she was like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a homeopath. Oh, I'm the Hahnemann archivist. It's like, what? How is this even possible? Um,
It's amazing.
yeah, pretty awesome. Um, so what do you think, like homeopathy in the UK is, do you have, I mean, there's so much homeopathy and yet it's bumpy because of the skeptics and so forth. And yet there's, despite all that, there's this just lifeblood of homeopathy that just runs through. It feels like it's unshakable no matter what. I mean, do you find that the community of homeopaths there really helps? Like the fact that there's just such a network of people and like density of homeopaths. Do you find that that's something that's really helpful in keeping homeopathy sort of alive and well?
I feel like homeopathy's got its own amazing, incredible survivor energy. It's like it's just going to be there. It doesn't matter if it's underground or it's just like overtly here.
Yeah.
It's going to survive this whatever comes along. In my village, which is about 2,000 people, we've got 3 homeopaths. and I think one of them's retired. One of them runs a kind of practice. She does more bioresonance than homeopathy specifically, and then there's me doing my thing. So I'm quite blown away by the kind of saturation. It's not even saturation, but that kind of ratio in our tiny little space. I do feel that the community of homeopaths is pretty epic in the UK. There's still a lot of people I speak to that say, "Oh gosh, it's really lonely being a homeopath," and I'm like, "Well, it could be, but it doesn't have to be." Like I have regular supervision with my supervisor. I work with other homeopaths in supervision. I'm obviously involved in a couple of colleges, and so I teach. So I feel like there's a really amazing network to tap into. But yeah. I'm not sure everybody does do that. I feel like I don't want to tempt fate and find some wood, but here in the UK, when I started out in 2007, the skeptic attacks were at a peak. Sort of 2007, 2008. It was pretty horrendous times, and I don't know if we've just kept doing our thing and they've gone kind of quiet, but it feels like homeopathy really feels like it's doing a massive resurgence at the moment. I think that's worldwide, but I feel like people are sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. They're sick of not being able to discuss more than one health condition and having 5 to 7 minutes to do that with a medical professional. I think the medical professionals are sick of not being able to provide a service longer than 5 minutes to discuss one condition. I think there's a whole host of kind of GPs seem to be retiring or cutting down work because the pressures on that system are horrendous. And I feel like more and more people are going, this has to not be the way. So it feels like there's a real looking for something different. I think the kind of COVID times have been helpful for that. I think people want to be able to help themselves and want to feel empowered around their healthcare. Yep. So I think there's a kind of a load of different factors. Definitely as a homeopath in the UK, I'm very grateful for my community and that energy around all of that carrying us through and really supporting people. But I don't know that everyone taps into that. And I think if I could appeal to anyone, it would be to not feel lonely doing this. There's such an incredible network of people and connections to make and be a part of that I think is really important in terms of sustaining ourselves, sustaining our practices. For me, I went and did Dynamis in 2010, and that was a massive, massive thing, reconnecting with professional homeopaths in the space, with people who really wanted to dig deep, to learn, to research, to work with people just really effective or as effectively as we could. So that was, for me, I kind of credit the book. I sort of say, I'm not sure it would have happened without Dynamis encouraging me to step out of my country mouse life, because I really am a country mouse.
Which Dynamis did you do? What was your proving?
We do Xenon.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you were where was that Dynamis?
So that was running Stroud at the school of the same site the School of Homeopathy runs from.
Okay. All right. Oh.
Yes, I think that was in person live, and then afterwards Ireland, but I think a lot of that was COVID-y online times as well. So we were probably the last fully in person session in the UK for it. Yeah.
I think so. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That must have been a fun proving. I love that remedy.
It was. There was a lot of aspects of it. There was a whole polarity of things that came up, I guess. Many things. It's always weird that the kind of things, the synchronicities around approving. I mean, I would never say something was because of, but we had a massive house fire 2 doors down from us around the time of the proving, and then someone else comes in and says, "Oh, we had a massive fire where they were," and then someone else, and you're like, "Holy fuck! This is, excuse the French, this is interesting stuff. This is potent energy." So whether that was a synchronicity, obviously, like we say, we can put everything down to a remedy. But my goodness, there was some interesting times and much learning for me around the proving times. Yeah, what did you do then?
So mine was in 2004, and our proving was 2007, and it was wild rice, Caesania, whatever, and it was you would never think that would be a difficult proving, but I wound up in the ER. So did Jeremy and one other person. Um,
Wow.
that was really tough. And it was funny because, well, you know what Al's proving was? He was
I
a
don't
plutonium.
plutonium. Wow. Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so he said to me, because
I used to have a full head of hair.
yeah, Al made me promise no more provings because I'm pretty sensitive. And as a prover, you
Oh,
know,
you're rubbish as a prover. Oh my goodness.
I've really taken it.
In terms of my life going nice and
Exactly.
smoothly.
So, yeah, so Al said no more provings. And then I was asked to be a supervisor in the radon proving.
Oh
He was
God.
like, no, don't do it. And I was like, I'm already in the zeitgeist. Like I have to do it now because I'm already in, and then I just don't get to know what's happening. That was a tough one. That was it was during early COVID. Was it 2020, 21?
It's a distant black memory.
That,
It's blank in my mind.
that was Dynamics Ireland. They
One of
did.
those
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
those
I think it was
moments.
Ireland. Yeah,
One
yeah,
of those
had
moments I'm going, I haven't seen Denise for a few weeks. I wonder where she is.
Yeah, I got sick.
Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh. But provings are,
Yeah, you kind of can't separate yourself from it. I think once you're in it, we did with a group of Dynamics ex people, we proved Zamzam water, and I was like, I'm not taking it when everyone else is taking it because I was on holiday in Greece. So I'm like, I'm doing it when I get back. I'm not having this like thing disrupt my holiday. Whatever. So I was already getting dreams that afterwards totally related to the proving, and just fast like doing a few behaviors that afterwards I was like, where did that come from? And then you're talking to people and they're like, oh yeah, I was plucking hair out wherever and whatever. Like, whoa, okay. And so just that energetic field is so extraordinary. I mean, it brings to mind, there's so much, I don't know, I'm so curious about so much around that. How do you do a placebo controlled trial if you've got a drug going on and there's this whole morphic field around whatever drug that is? It just, there's so many questions I've got around energy and substance, and gosh, I've got so much to learn and know about that I'm very curious about. Yeah, yeah, just fascinating stuff.
I love it. Oh my gosh. We could go on all day. Um, but I think we have to pull it
How
to
did
a
that happen? Have we been talking for an hour?
almost just shy.
Whoa.
I know. Time flies when you're having fun. Time flies when you're partying with them. Um,
We get
so
to see you again though, right?
we do. Yeah, we are doing a book club with them. And I don't have the date. We'll put it in the show notes, but
12th, 12th of June.
the 12th of June. Oh, right after all of our events. Yeah, you should just come and stay on because the ball is just a week before. You should stay on, have a holiday. We'll show you a good time. We'll do some dancing. The
Bad
dark.
timing. I'm gonna go to graduation event for the School of Homeopathy then. You need to check out with me when you're booking these events and I'll be there.
Okay, for sure. Oh my
12th of
goodness.
June,
Oh,
11 a.m. Eastern on the 12th.
And we are going to talk about Em's book. We're going to have excerpts from the book, and everyone who's joining us. So, anyone who is enrolled as a student at AHE, the incoming students, as well as existing students, will have an opportunity to spend an hour with Em just picking her brain and talking about the book, which is just absolutely gorgeous. You are going to love it. And thank you so much for spending this time with us. Drooling on myself over here. Thank you for spending
Keep your
time
teeth
with
in,
us.
love. Keep your teeth
I
in.
know, I know.
it says cookies. It says cookies, isn't it?
I know. We had the most delicious cookies over here. All right. Thank you. And we will see you again really soon.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you.